Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video. And of course today we are going to be previewing the game between Roma and Barcelona, the quarterfinal stage of the Champions League, the second leg coming from Rome. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this one goes, because obviously we're coming into it with a big lead, but can we progress to the semi-final stage for the first time since we were crowned champions back in 2015? It looks like we're going to get there, but we're going to have to apply ourselves. We're going to have to be mentally ready to take on this challenge. We should do it. And we're going to be looking at all that and more in today's preview. As always, guys, the preview is coming to you courtesy of the OneFootball app, which you can always find in the description down below for all the latest on the Champions League and La Liga on the Barcelona front. 76% of people believe that Barcelona will go away to Roma tomorrow and actually win the game. And on my own poll, the same sort of confidence exists from you guys. Great to see as always. You think that we'll win, and the majority today believe they'll win by 2 goals, which I think is a very apt prediction indeed. And I'll be coming on to my prediction later on in the video as always. But there is some big quarter-final matches elsewhere in the Champions League. Of course, on the same night as ourselves, Manchester City will be hoping to overcome a 3-0 deficit against Liverpool at the Etihad. They've got to come from 3 goals down. If Liverpool simply score once in that game, Man City and Pep Guardiola's side will need 5 goals to get to the semi-finals. And then on Wednesday to Munich, where Bayern Munich are currently leading against Sevilla in their tie, but not by such a distance. They won 2-1 away from home at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan last week, and they will fancy their chances of reaching the semi-finals once again this season. And also Real Madrid, of course, playing Juventus. Real extremely comfortable right now heading into that home leg. They won 3-0 away from home last week in Turin, and they, of course, will fancy their chances massively of getting through to the next stage. But on to our clash now, guys. Of course, we will be heading to the capital city of Italy tomorrow night to face Roma in a game which should certainly bring the semi-final stage for us. But like I keep saying, we have to arrive in the right way. We've got to be mentally ready. 8:45 PM local time. And here, as always, guys, are the times right around the world where you are, where the Champions League will be kicking off. And of course, we've got to start with the first leg, which will give us a huge bearing and a huge advantage going into tomorrow's game. We currently lead Roma by 4-1, with Roma grabbing that 1 away goal at the end of the game, thanks to Edin Dzeko. But ultimately, it's a mountain. It's a really, really big ask that Roma get anything from this tie. Goals from Piqué, Suarez, and 2, of course, from our favourite football friend. Own goal gave us 4 massive goals at the Camp Nou in that first leg game last week, and which should really be enough to get us through to the next round, all on their own. But if we score tomorrow night, Roma would then have to come back with 4 goals, and that would simply just be to take it to extra time. And in terms of form, and in terms of where Roma are exactly at right now, they've not exactly hit back following that first leg defeat either. They followed it up with a 2-0 defeat at home to Fiorentina on Saturday, so they haven't really gone about themselves getting back on their feet very well. They've not really filled themselves with confidence ahead of this game. A disappointing home defeat. They didn't play well. They've now dropped to 4th in Serie A, and only to add insult to injury, the team that climbed above them into that 3rd spot is none other than their arch rivals Lazio. So that's really bad news for Roma. Disappointing times for them right now. And in terms of the second leg being at home for them, they were coming to the Stadio Olimpico, a massively atmospheric stadium, a very famous stadium and very historic. They haven't really, though, made that a fortress this season. We spoke about it in the first leg. We spoke about Roma in a bit more detail. They haven't really been great at home this season. They've only got the 6th best home record in Serie A, and ultimately we should be going there and certainly avoiding defeat. And then on the other hand, when you look at ourselves, when you look at how we went on from that game, what we continue to do, we continued our unbeaten streak in La Liga, beating Leganes 3-1 at the Camp Nou on Saturday, courtesy of yet another Lionel Messi hat-trick. And in doing so, we then equalled a Spanish record for games unbeaten in the top flight, an unbelievable 38 matches in total that we are currently unbeaten in La Liga. And of course, this season in the league, we're still unbeaten. We're still trying to go the entire league season without a loss. And right now, we are still doing it. So looking at that, looking at the form, looking at the two sides, how they go head-to-head, and of course, looking into that first leg in a bit more detail, it's very safe to say we're huge favourites. Not only in this game, not only for the tie, but we're a better side than Roma. We've got better players, and even though we're heading to their home, they're not outstanding there either. So we should certainly be confident tomorrow. We should certainly go into it with a lot of momentum, but we have to approach the game in the right way. They've got Nainggolan back. That's one thing that I would say in regard to Roma. which will be very different about the way they went about the first leg. They didn't have Nainggolan in their team. He wasn't quite back in time. He did play the full 90 minutes, though, against Fiorentina on Saturday in Serie A, so there's no doubt at all that he will be back for this game, and he will make a big difference in that midfield for them. And obviously, there is a lot of talk about what sort of team we will see play against Roma tomorrow night. Will Valverde rotate? What sort of side will he put out there to try and get the win or try and avoid defeat? Whatever we're going to try and do in this type of game. Valverde took all available players, even featuring the likes of Yerry Mina, the full squad, Ter Stegen, Semedo, Piqué, Rakitic, Busquets, Denis Suarez, Iniesta Suarez, Messi, Dembele, Silasson, Paulinho, Alcácer, Jordi Alba, Roberto, Gomez, Vidal, Umtiti, Yerry Mina, Thomas Vermaelen, and even the third goalkeeper, Ortola, travelled to Rome to take on this game. So Valverde giving himself all the options available, but with regard to a rotation, I just don't really see it. I don't think we're going to rotate massively tomorrow, simply because Valverde didn't take any chances whatsoever against Leganes at home on Saturday in the league. If we're not really taking a gamble there, if we're not going to rotate in that kind of game, I think it's very, very unlikely tomorrow that we'll see Valverde change the team around too much. It's a Champions League quarter-final away from home against Roma, decent opposition. I don't really see that we're going to see too many risks tomorrow from Valverde. And with that in mind, what we're going to do today with regard to the lineup is look at several different variations of what Valverde could do with his team selection. And the first variation of Valverde's lineup would simply be a complete repeat of what we saw in that first leg tie. And I have to say, I think this is a real possibility that Valverde does this. It was effective in the first leg. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't unbelievable. But what it did do was get the result, get the goals, get the performance, and get the quality that we needed to go through the next round. And I think Valverde could go with this approach again, simply because it's away from home. I could almost understand this lineup more in this kind of game, simply because it's away from home. You don't know what you're going to come up against away from home. Whereas at home, the emphasis was kind of on us to go out and express ourselves, put on a bit of a show, and I don't think we did that as much with this kind of rigid 4-4-2. But away from home, with the two on that side, Roberto and Semedo, who can certainly protect and contain, I think that would be fair enough. And it's going to be interesting to see whether Valverde goes this again. The other alternative would be this one and would involve some changes on Valverde's side, whether it be Roberto or Semedo at right back. I personally believe that it'll be Roberto, simply because I don't know whether Valverde is going to sort of play Semedo 3 games in a row. We've not seen him a great deal this season when he's been fit, and I think 3 games in a row, even though Semedo has been outstanding for me, I'm just not sure Valverde's going to do it. It would involve the midfield trio of Busquets, Iniesta and Rakitic, and then the trio up top, Alcácer, Messi and Dembele. Dembele didn't play at all in the first leg. I'm not sure whether he's going to start this game for that reason. If he wasn't picked in the first leg, will he be picked now? And Alcácer for Suarez, simply because I keep saying it, but it is true. He could do with a rest. He really could right now. He's struggling a little bit for form, struggling a little bit for confidence. If we take him out the team, give him that chance to get back his real best mode, he can come back bigger and better and stronger this season. But the final formation and the final system that I would look at would be this one with Suarez in the team. Taking Alcácer out, putting Suarez in, and basically having a front three where Messi can drop in here, Dembele off to the right. Now, Valverde might not like this because on the right-hand side you've got Kolarov, you've got Perotti, players that can hurt you down Roma's left. Apparently Valverde felt they were very strong down that side. That's why he didn't really want to play Dembele in the first leg. But what you can do with Roberto and Dembele, they're so good going forward, and they're such technically good players, especially Roberto, you can actually contain Kolarov and Perotti by attacking. You can simply force them back, make sure they can't come out, make sure they can't attack, simply by compressing, making the space shorter, and making sure that we really press them high up the pitch, like Roberto can do, like Dembele can do. He can get right in their faces, and that's another way that you could stop Roma on that right-hand side. So it is going to be very interesting in this game to see whether Valverde does rotate or whether he doesn't, whether he stays strong, stays firm, and doesn't take any risks in this game. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Which variation do you think we should go with? Who would you like to see in this game? Would you like to see Semedo once again impress at right back? Do you want to see Dembele starting this game? Suarez to start, yes or no? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I am going to go in this game with Barcelona 2, Roma 0. I think it's going to be very much a Valverde kind of performance that we've seen so far. Very solid away from home, very tactically astute, very structured, and I think we'll just about get ourselves over the line. Maybe Messi will get on the score sheet, maybe own goal will show up on the big occasion again. But let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Let me know your predictions for the game and also for the score, and of course I will see you tomorrow. Full reaction from those games and all the rest that goes with that. Hopefully we're through to the semis. It looks that way. Let's do this. But until then, as always, Vesca El Barça.